Hi there, and welcome to Naturally Recovering Autism. I am your host, Karen Thomas, and I want to thank you so much for being here and being a proactive parent and getting the resources that you need to let your child live their most fulfilling and independent life possible. When my own son was diagnosed with autism, I was told to drug him and try behavioral therapies, and there was nothing else that we could do for him but manage his symptoms the rest of his life. But I didn't want to do that. Fortunately, my background in craniosacral therapy of now 30 years let me know that the brain can and does heal, but I didn't know that much about autism. What I did know is that I didn't want to just mask the symptoms with dangerous drugs. I wanted to find the causes and work with them naturally. And fast forward, it took me a decade and a lot of time and effort, but today my son is no longer diagnosable with autism after being told it could not happen. So I'm here to share with you valuable resources to save you the time and some of the expense that I had to spend to figure it out, and to help you let your child lead to their best results possible. Every child's level of recovery is different, but we know that children who couldn't sleep through the night are sleeping now through the night and happily. Their immune systems are now strong where they were once sick all the time. Children who were nonverbal and their parents were told they could never speak are now speaking. Children who were getting D's and F's in school are getting A's and B's, and those that were so anxious all the time and couldn't sit still and were uncomfortable in their own bodies are now calm and happy and relaxed, and they're leading fulfilling and independent lives with friends. This is what we want for our kids. So I'm here to share the resources with you so that you can get the best results for your child, the best possible. And you can start that right now with my free download of the top 7 foods to eliminate beginning today, of the top foods that are the most inflammatory and toxic that are contributing to those physical and behavioral symptoms of autism that your child is having. They're making his life uncomfortable. So you can get that right now at naturallyrecoveringautism.com/7 foods. And feel free to share that with anybody you know who would be interested. And I will also link to it in today's show notes. There's, of course, a lot more than diet, but this is something you could start doing today that will begin to reduce those symptoms. And I'm happy to share everything I can with you. So right now, let's dive into today's episode. Hi there, and welcome back. Thank you so much for being here with us today and being such a great parent and doing all that you can to help your child live to their full potential, because our kids, like anybody else, have the opportunity to live to their full potential and can have a better life, and they deserve that. But sometimes we as parents don't always know those steps to take and what can be done. And you're trying hard, and it's not that you don't have the commitment, but sometimes you just don't know the, what and why and how of everything. And so that is why when I had such great success with my own son, I know personally the struggles that parents of children with autism go through. And when I had the success with my son, and I had done now it's been almost 18 years of autism research. It took me a decade to get my son better because I kept trying different things, trying the trial and error, spending all the money, spending all the time, but kind of felt like I was sort of losing some years with him because I was trying to figure it out. And once I figured it out, I knew I had to share it with other parents who were on the same journey, struggling, and wanted a simpler path, wanted a roadmap, something you could follow from somebody who has the experience and personal experience. And that is where I come from. I want to be able to simplify and ease the process and get you actual results with your child with less time and expense and the support that you deserve, because I really ultimately want to help you get better results with your child. And this is what I have seen so much from the resources I've shared with parents. And today we have a special guest with us today. Her name is Mary. And Mary is the mom of Kevin, who is now 16 years old, and he was diagnosed with autism at age 2. And Mary would like to share her inspirational story because we know how much you need support. And we were just discussing before I even started recording that unless you have a child of your own with autism, you really don't know what it's like. And even well-meaning people just don't get it, and family members and friends. And it can be a very isolating journey. But to have somebody who understands the trials and the challenges and the ups and the downs and everything is so helpful and so important. So Mary, I would like to have you now share Kevin's story and what you've gone through with your experience, maybe even starting back to when he was diagnosed, and then your journeys and the things that you've seen with, needing support, or what you've done, what worked, what didn't work, and things like that. Because today, Kevin, you've had some tremendous success that I also want to make sure that you share with everybody. So welcome and thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. Yes, Kevin is, he's my boo-boo bear. Yeah, he's just the absolute love of my life. And again, he was diagnosed at 2 years old with, at first it started off just speech language impairment. I was like, okay, speech language, what do we do? You're always looking to, what can I do to help him? What is the track that we're going to take on this? So at first they said, okay, let's just put him in a preschool inside an elementary school. He will get the speech language that he needs. And by the time he's in kindergarten, he'll be able to go into a regular, just a regular classroom. So of course, I followed the path, and we went through pre-K in the school setting. When he was 5 years old, and he went to a typical school, we started noticing he was hiding underneath desks, hitting, biting, kicking, just couldn't sit still at all, the poor thing. And so at that point, he was constantly being kicked out of school. So we always had to go get him, pick him up, bring him home, and go through the next thing the same day. It was just continually. We went to the doctor, psychologist. At that point, they said Kevin had autism-like features and ADHD. And of course, you say, okay, what can we do? What path should we go on? What should we do about these autism-like features? And they said, go to social skills classes and put him on some ADHD medicine. Okay, so of course we did that for a few years, and at the same time you're researching what can be done. We heard about the Feingold diet, so we tried that. It's always little bits and pieces from different people. There was never like a set roadmap. We started going to autism doctors. Again, the expense was just, I hate to throw it out there, but it was like $269 for a half hour. And even doing that, I didn't even hear about your mold protocol until like 3 years into the program with the autism doctor. I'm like, you could have saved me so much time and money. Mm-hmm. If you would have just told me, if you would have had a roadmap. That was my big thing, is what do you have for me? What path are we going to go on? And basically, like you said, again, it's bits and pieces here or there. Never a clear path. When he was 9, we went to All Children's Hospital. By this time, you feel like you're losing precious time. You're losing time. At that point, they said he had autism level 2, needing substantial support. I'm like, how did he go from autistic-like features with ADHD to needing substantial support? All along, looking back now, I remember seeing like little things, like the little darkness under his eyes. And now I look back, I'm like, that's candida. That's gluten. That's stuff. If I would have known that when he was, say, 2, I could have jumped right on that. But it's the not knowing, not having the clear path. And so, of course, at that point, he's still hitting, biting, kicking because of the gluten, constipation. He was having issues actually growing. I mean, he was just tall, very tall like his dad, but he was like a little skinny mini. So obviously he wasn't getting the nutrients from the foods that he was being given. Of course, I started going, gluten-free, dairy-free. And I knew about the red dyes. So again, it's bits and pieces. So after that point, after All Children's, I'm like, all right, you need to do more research, more research. So you're spending thousands of hours. I was spending every single night doing research. I mean, even on having a drink of wine, still on the internet researching. And then on Facebook, I seen Karen's program. I'm like, okay, what does this lady have for me? Is this real? Is this, again, going back to autism, I've already spent, I hate to say it, I spent over $100,000.
So did I. Yeah.
With these little bits and pieces that were all over the place with these doctors, these tests. And I'm like, I'm like crying to myself. I'm like, I can't keep spending $100,000 on something that's not working. If it's working, I'll give you the shirt off my back. It needs to work. I need to see a progress. And with the other ones, I see little bits here, there, but nothing consistent. I mean, he was still hiding under the desk, even going to OT speech. He wasn't learning. Constipation still. So, all right, when I seen your program, I'm like, this is my last hope. I have to be all in, or this is our life. And I'm like, I can't live like this anymore. I mean, I was basically still being dragged down the street, basically, when he would elope. That's what I mean. He would run away from me. And I'm like, I just can't do this anymore. So again, lots of research, even with your program. I'm like, do I do this? Do I not?
Is it just one more thing? You never know for sure until that's why I try to give
you really don't
past
know
experiences from parents like this, right? You don't know, and you have to research and then go with your gut instinct.
Exactly. And that's what I did. I went with my gut and I said, you know what, I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to do this. And I had it in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to do this for a year. Because I remember hearing things, try something for a year. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You're done. I'm like, okay. So I started all the protocols, I was fully in, changed the diet 100%. Before it was like, maybe 50-60%, gluten-free,
But you didn't realize how much more there was to diet. That's what people hear. Gluten-free, casein-free, okay, but there's so much more, as you know.
There's so much more. And like I was saying before the call, I even got down during your program to the nitty-gritty, the lip balm, the toothpaste, every little thing. Even I always, every year, I always have the vents for my AC unit cleaned, sanitized. My fence, I'm out there power washing that, my driveway, everything, because here in Florida, when it does rain, it's really raining, you get a lot of mold. So just being so proactive and being in the program, you gave me a roadmap, because I remember asking the autism doctor, who I was still kind of using when I joined your program. I'm like, well, yeah, I looked at your roadmap, and I said, okay, 2 to 4 years. I'm thinking, I can do this. So I asked the autism doctor, I'm like, what's your roadmap look like? And he really didn't have an answer for me. I'm like, you're not worth $269 for a half hour. It just wasn't. So I'm like, okay, started the program. I started out slow, just exactly like you suggested, doing everything slow. I did see, the progressions. And then I'm like, you know what? If I do more, maybe I'll see more results. So for me, thank God I was able to do it. I did all of the tier 1s together. I put them all together, and I'm thinking, little by little, I seen Kevin's, he was getting calmer. And I'm like, who are you? Okay, I like this kid. So, we're keeping at it. And of course, at first with the supplements, Kevin was having, the liquids was fine. He would do those in a heartbeat. It was the supplements, getting the pills. He was like, I noticed he was hiding them. I'm like, oh, we're not having this, buddy. And so I talked to him, and think Kevin is more higher functioning. He is. So I was able to have the conversation with him saying, okay, this is why we're doing this. I go, do you notice any little changes? And he goes, yeah, I feel a little bit better. I'm like, okay, this is why we're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And so once he could kind of put it in his perspective, okay, well, if I take these supplements, I'm not going to have to take them forever. And that was my thing. You don't have to take these forever. This is to help us kickstart, get this going, get your body feeling better, so you don't have stomach pains, so you can sleep through the night.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think once he understood more, he was able to do more. And I know a lot of people are in that situation. I know that, and I understand that.
And even for parents listening, even nonverbal kids understand this if you explain to them. And also there are like the pill forms of things that we couldn't find in powder or liquid can be opened up and poured into liquid or food, just for people listening thinking, oh, my child will never. And it's good that you said that your son was resistant too, because we know that that's common for a lot of kids, but there are ways around it. And I do believe, and this was my experience with my own son, that if they start to get explained why this is happening or what you're doing, then, and help them notice, well, are you feeling better? Do you notice that your tummy doesn't hurt? Do you notice that you're kind of sleeping better? You feel calmer, things like that. Then they start thinking, oh yeah, I do. And they get it, and they start being more complacent with, allowing things.
Exactly. So, and that was the point with Kevin. Like I said, he was hiding it, or I'd find it in the garbage, and I'm like, oh, I got to watch him even more. I'm like, another thing I got to keep doing. But flashback to today, he does the pills. He's like, okay. And then he says, oh, you put too many in here, because he counts them out and he knows. I'm like, all right, well, and I'm trying to teach him like the ring test. So so he knows himself what to do.
Good for you.
Doing the ring test of what,
Muscle
and
testing.
even reading food labels.
Right.
I'm like,
Well, they
this is
become
why.
really educated on nutrition. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, and I go, Kevin, this is lifelong skills that you need to know. And so as soon as he's able to, grasp and get it, okay, yeah, this is helping me. That's where I've seen the biggest changes with him. Once he understood why we're doing everything. And like I said, I ask him all the time, how you doing? How you feeling? Are you feeling constipated? I'm not, I go, I don't really want to look at things, but or does it, just give me some indicators here. He's more compliant. Gosh, he went from when we first started the program, little eye contact, the digestive issues. We did feeding classes, brain mapping, changed the diet, cranial doctors, chiropractors. To today, I like I said, he's the love of my life. He's so easygoing.
Yeah. Versus
email.
what he was like before, where you're saying the biting and the kicking, and that comes out of their anxiety, their fear, and those underlying root health causes. I always tell people that your child is not an angry person. These are underlying root causes that are affecting their health. And when we clear those, then the brain and the body are not trying to function underneath them anymore. So you saw Kevin go from little eye contact, hiding, biting, getting in trouble at school all the time, to being, socially engaged, healthier, of course, much happier. Yeah. Share the details. Parents want to know the differences.
Yeah. Like I said, yes, definitely. He went from the hit and bite and kicking. Now he's just so calm. Sometimes I'm like, you're too calm. What's going on? Is there something wrong? I'm just like, well, he's like, Mom, calm down. He goes, I'm good. I'm relaxed.
Right. They're used to us worrying about them. I still do the same with my son, even though he's great today too.
Yeah, I just do. And of course, I've told you before, I've always kept him very active, and with sports, he's done his soccer. When he was diagnosed the second time with autistic-like features at 5, because of the hit and bite and kick, I put him in Taekwondo, to get that out. and we had a fantastic experience with that. He did that for like 8 years, soccer, track, he's played baseball, powerlifting. He was just last weekend at Orlando at the state championships. He got second place for that. So all of this has been a result of, to me, the program, doing the due diligence, doing all the tiers. I've gone back after I finished the tiers with Dr. T. I've gone back and did the ring test on ones I might have had to redo again. Like right now, we're redoing the Lyme, just because it came up in the ring test. So,
and you've learned to know what to look for. Now of these co-infections: mold, Lyme, strep, pandas, parasites, and all these things that regular traditional testing is very unreliable for. Often these tests show that they're negative for them when they actually still are positive. So that's why I say save your money on these tests and, learn these muscle testing things that I teach, but then know that when we use something safe and natural and effective, it's the right thing, not just antibiotics, that most of these things are antibiotic resistant, that if you have the right things to use, then you're going to get results too. But you knew what to go back because you saw the symptoms and now you were knowledgeable of them. You thought, okay, I'm going to test for this. You did in your own muscle testing that you've learned from the program. And so you knew to go back and redo it again. So sometimes there are stubborn co-infections that we do need to, do longer or repeat something on, and that's okay.
Exactly. And that is okay. Because like I said, this is where I've gotten the best results. So I knew to go back, look at everything, retest, and also thank God for Robert. I'm always emailing that poor man. I'm like, okay, this is what's happening. What do you see? What do you test for? And
I better share real quick who Robert is. So in my membership program, which Mary is a member of, that I have a man who does personalized readings for your specific child's needs. So that's part of a bonus in the program. And yes, he is very, very helpful. I'm very grateful for Robert's help as well. And there's no extra fee for it, which you still think that that's pretty amazing. All of his help there's no extra fee. It's part of being in the Naturally Recovering Autism membership that you have that access. Usually that would be a very expensive fee on its own.
Oh, yes. It definitely would. Like I said, and he's just been wonderful, going back with the Lymes, and I kept emailing him, Kevin sniffing, what is this? He's like, Mary, do you think you might be a cold?
Sometimes we forget those basics.
Longer than that. I'm like, colds don't exist. Okay, it's gotta be something. So that's what, I get down with him with the nitty gritty, and thank God. I just can't say enough about your program, and even though I have been in it for 3 years, I still go back to the very beginning and I relook at the roadmap and I'm like, okay, this is where I was. Am I here? Am I missing anything? Was anything new added to the program that I may have missed? And I also get email alerts from questions in the forum. And I'm like, I know the answer to this, and, and so, and I listen to your calls. If I can't join, during the day, I may go back and listen to them, at a later time over the weekend. And
a lot of education there, definitely. These are hopefully live calls that we do in the program. And then the forum, as Mary mentioned, is where any member can ask me any question anytime they have one. Because as a parent myself who has gone through it, one of the things I found that was so hard to find was support along the way, or if you have a question. And the program is very thorough. And as Mary said, you can go in and usually find the answer you're looking for. But if you don't find it, then you can ask me in the forum. And that's where we archive those questions and answers so everybody can learn from them. So as you did, Mary, you go back or you're on the alert so that you see when a question's asked, then, look at how much you've learned in the 3 years that you've been in the program. And this is why too, your persistence and the consistency is so important. And the fact that you didn't just stop at 1 year because you
No.
thought, well, I've been in a year and I'll just move on now. You knew that you had the right resources, the support, and the roadmap, and that, to be able to have the access to go back and redo things or have the support you needed. That might be something good to touch on too, the support, because we've both experienced it, the lack of support that really is out there. And if people haven't had a child of their own with autism, they really don't understand. And so I had mentioned that, you see this sometimes with other people, whether it's in therapies or in other groups that you're involved with, of parents or something like that, other families. So maybe you can kind of show the difference there. Do you have something to add?
What I have seen is, like I said, with even going to speech or baseball, when the children are, they're also on the spectrum as well as Kevin. And of course, I see the differences between Kevin and the other children. I'm like, how, I don't want to, I do touch on people say, oh, Kevin's made such great progress. They'll ask what am I doing?
Mhm.
And then, I go in to tell them about it. And then sometimes it's like, they just shut off. They said, yeah, we tried gluten-free, didn't work.
No, right. Yeah.
I'm like, well, how long did you do it for? Did you check your house for mold? Did you, all these little things I've learned in the program. I'm like, are you changing your filters? Do you have a true HEPA? Yeah, what's your vacuum? Do you have rugs? Do you,
Mm-hmm.
what
They
kind
don't
of,
know what they don't know, but they
what
have to
kind
be
of
willing to
shampoo
be
you using?
open-minded. Mm-hmm.
It's all the little stuff. So that's been the hard part too, is I'm friends with people who have children, on the spectrum. But to me, they're not as vigilant as I am. So I can see the differences
And the
between their
differences
child and
it's
my
making
child.
in your children too.
Exactly. So I'm like, and I always want to say, well, you got to try this. But you can't control other people.
Right.
You
Yeah.
just can't. I just know my journey, and I know Kevin's journey, and I know the great progress he has made. So I know I'm on the right path. So
Mm-hmm.
going back to when I first, started your program, I said, all right, I'm going to give myself a year. Let's see what's happening after a year. A year came. Well, he's not hitting, biting, kicking. He doesn't have a red ring around his lip from licking his lips from gluten sensitivities. I said, we're on to something. I just knew, you just have that gut instinct. I'm like, we're on to something. All right, we're gonna do this for another year. 6 months, a year. Let's see how we're doing. 6 months comes, I'm like, man, I'm running out of some elixirs. All right, Robert, what do you got for me? So again, I see the progress with him. I know something is working. So I'm gonna keep at it. Right now, we're at 3 years mark. My next thing is, all right, let's get to 4 years.
Mm-hmm. And then
Let's see
what's
where we're
next?
at.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Because
that
why stop short when you're already getting great results?
that's my point. And this year, honestly, is Kevin's breakthrough year. We've been on the program 3 years. This last summer, he was a teen leader at our community center. The kids loved him. They called him the minion, only because the teen leaders have to wear a yellow shirt. It's like
Oh.
the minion yellow. So the little kids are like, hey, Minion Kevin. Because in the Minions movie, there's also a minion named Kevin.
That's
So they just had a good time with him, and they just adored him. Even at the whole community center, all of the employees, they're like, wow, they're just like, Kevin, buddy, what's up? And this last week, actually for Halloween, Kevin was a volunteer again for the Halloween happenings. And they're like, Kevin, even the rec leaders, the managers, they're like high-fiving Kevin. They're, hey, bud, how's school going? And Kevin, I'm telling him all about school. And, Kevin was giving him direct eye contact, keeping the conversation flowing. I mean, it was just a natural flow conversation. I was just like, I wanted to bawl my eyes out. I'm just like, oh, my boo-boo bear is doing so well, And
and 3 years ago. before he
three
joined the
years
program?
ago,
Would he been able to have that conversation or do act that way?
no, 3 years ago, I would not even have had Kevin participate in the community camps summer programs because I know they couldn't have handled him. He
Mhm,
would have been eloping, running.
mhm,
He would been probably, I probably would have gotten a phone call saying, "Hey, come get your kid.
mhm.
You know, we can't
I
handle
got
him."
those. Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so for that's what I mean. So in the 3 years, it seems like a short amount of time. And honestly, I wish I would have known about this years ago so I could see how he is now at 16. But you know what? That I can't go back. I can only go forward.
Well, and you're where you are now. I mean, look at his success. It's so wonderful that he's already at age 16. He now has, you can see he's going to be an independent, successful
Mhm.
adult. And this is important to us as parents. You know, we want the best for them, especially as they get older and are eventually going to be adults. And can they live on their own? And what will they be like? Will they be happy? Now he's able to have interactions, make friends, have a job, you know, all of these things. And the kids love him and he's loving them. So, you know,
Yeah.
this is, we all as human beings have that desire to connect with others and be happy and be accepted. And now he is. You're saying you're watching him and you wanted to bawl your eyes out because it gave you that sense of he's so happy, right? I mean, is that
Exactly.
generally?
He's very happy.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see it in his sense of humor. I mean, his sense of humor has just come out. He's got it's a dry, funny, sarcastic kind of humor. And even everybody remarks, even OT speech still, they're like, Kevin is just so funny. He's just such a great kid. We just love having him here. And even at OT and speech, he even volunteers there, like during like the week of Thanksgiving, we still have speech and OT classes, but they gear it more towards everybody's inclusive and it's all kind of like a little celebration. They'll have like different stations set up and for all the kids to go through. And Kevin's, like I said, he's one of the leaders there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even at social skills class there, you know, they're like, we just can't believe the improvements because they've had Kevin for like 5 years now.
So they have seen the.
They've seen the good, the bad, the ugly.
Mm-hmm.
So they've seen his progression and they're always like, wow, I just can't believe this. They're like, we're with you. We're with you to the end. You
Do
know,
people ask you what you're doing?
oh, they do. And I tell them,
Uh-huh.
and of course it goes back to, they only want to hear so much. They don't want to hear me get into the gluten, the dairy-free lip balm. And I'm like, what about your laundry detergent? You know, is it free and clean? You know,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
know, I
What kind
get
of
down to
topics are in and around your home?
yeah. I just get into the nitty gritty. Then I look at them like, all right, Mary, stop. You're giving them too much sometimes. You're
Well, we're
overwhelming
excited. I used to get tracked down in grocery stores and on the schoolyard. Karen, my daughter or my son's got this going on. What do I do? You know, they started doing that because I saw the changes in my son and knew that I had a lot of knowledge about holistic health and things that could be done. And so that's where a lot of this developed from. Eventually, I was like, I got to write a book. And then I was like, I got to create a program. People are overwhelmed. They just need the steps, the roadmap. And yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's, you know, knowing the challenges, it's why I do what I do and why I created the program and why, you know, to hear your story from exactly what I hoped for when I created the program to have it be successful for so many people worldwide, you know, that is the beauty of it. Because that's the other thing is it's online. Like you said, you originally came from a small village where you used to live in. A lot of people are in areas where they don't have resources near them and they can't afford to travel. And they, you know, and so this way, having something be online that you have access 24/7 and you can ask somebody who has personal experience and knowledge or questions anytime you want to, you know, I knew how important that was for parents. And I also got tired of seeing parents not spending the time and the commitment and the money, but not getting the results they were looking for, and seeing how many, you know, practitioners and everybody that they were just spending their money on that didn't really know what they were doing, because that's how I started out. And so I wanted to be able to offer it. So, I mean, it really means everything to me to hear your story, because it's what I want is for you as a parent to have the support and to see these kinds of changes and let your child really live to their full potential and be who they are. So, I mean, it's thrilling for me to hear Kevin's story. You could never tell me too much. I wouldn't get bored with it, Mary. I
Well,
love
thank
it.
you.
So congratulations, honestly, on all of your hard work and your
Yeah.
persistence and consistency, because you know how much that makes a difference. Because if you had just stopped short or did little bits here and there or thought, oh, maybe I'll just jump around or I'll give, then you wouldn't really be where you are. Or Kevin wouldn't be where he is today.
Right. Exactly. And I tell him all the time, how proud I am of him. I go, thank you so much for taking, the elixirs, doing the supplements. I'm like, and I go, see, Kevin, because of we're doing this, look at the results you're getting. He was on honor roll the very first time this year.
Oh.
Very first time. He's never been on honor roll. Yes, he's always been an ace in math. Math has always been his strong point. But this year, he's A's and B's.
Yeah.
Honor roll. Very first time. I mean, even last night, I got an email from his teacher saying how much he has just grown within the last year. And he's socializing more now, eye contact, just everything. He helps the teachers. And even one of his old teachers, whom he used to hide underneath, her desks. She's like, wow. She goes, I just can't believe
Is this
the
the same thing?
the difference in him. He's just come such a long way in such 3 years. When you're in it, it seems like a long time, but really it's not.
Right.
He's just, I just can't say enough. He's just grown and flourished. I'm so excited about the honor also.
Yeah. How does that make you feel, right? To hear all of these positive things and from others who have noticed the tremendous differences as well. I mean, you must feel pretty proud. Yeah.
I do. I feel so proud. And people are like, Mary, you're doing such a great job with him. I'm like, well, thank you for noticing that. But look at my son. Look, I mean, he has put in the hard work.
Yeah.
I'm just there to kind of, I'm there to guide him. That's how I look at it. I'm giving him all the resources, and he's the one actually doing it. He's doing the supplements. He's understanding why they're important. And yes, it's nice to hear, oh, you do it, as a parent. But for me, I just look at it for him. He's the one, doing this hard work. He's the one concentrating at school now and just flourishing. Like we had a parent teacher conference a month ago. They said the new principal come in. She's like, he's had 99% growth in his academics from last year
Wow.
to this year. She goes, you can't get any better than that.
Wow.
Because I'm sorry?
In 1 year?
In 1 year.
Wow.
In 1 year. From looking at his test last year to this year, he's had 99% growth.
And what if you had stopped at 1 year or 2 years in the program? Say, because you kept going, he's continued to make progress.
He's thriving. Yep. He really is thriving. And he tells me all the time, he's like, yeah, he goes, I want to be independent. I want to live on my own. I'm like, oh, you don't want to live with me forever? He's like, nope.
And it's great that he wants to be. He's not afraid to be on his own because now he feels secure enough within himself. His self-esteem is strong enough. And that is really important for anybody going out in the world on their own, as a young adult.
Exactly. And like I said, before the program, I couldn't even leave him in the house by himself. I always had to make sure my daughter, somebody was home with him.
Right.
At all times. Now, I can go out to a movie, I can live my life, but if I have to go out and run errands, I can do it. He's fine. If he needs anything, he'll let me know. But other than that, no, he's like I said, the third year, this year he's just blossomed.
Right.
He just has. Yes.
Oh, that is so wonderful. And thank you again, Mary, for sharing your so inspiring story. I love hearing it. And I know that there are so many listeners right now listening to this that are feeling inspired for their own journey and on their own, having their own success with their own children. And, it provides that hope for the future for yourself and your family, your child, because, so much is involved when you have a child with autism, and there are a lot of challenges, but knowing that there's something out there that can help. For anybody listening, you can get more information about all of my resources at naturallyrecoveringautism.com on my website there. And I'm here to help anybody who is, in need. So also please share this with others. Um, and tell a friend. There are a lot of parents out there needing these resources and want them, but haven't found them yet. So fortunately, Mary, you kept searching, and you said you found me on Facebook. See, it's wherever, that's my goal, is to just reach millions of parents worldwide and give them the opportunity to say yes or no, but at least they know about it, have the opportunity to say, oh wow, I'm gonna, maybe I'll check this out and get the results. Because I have parents that have been in the program. Her son was 27 when she found me, and her son was diagnosed at age 2, still nonverbal at age 27. She had tried, like you and I, many, many things prior to finding me and my resources, my program. And within a few months in my program, her 27-year-old son is not only talking for the first time, he's starting to read books with her. And so, this is why, and she's like, yeah, if I had found you 20 years ago, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
So, thank you again for sharing your story to help parents understand the possibilities that still exist, even though they think they've done everything else. That's what I'm here for, is to show them there's more to do, and I can give you that roadmap. So, do you have anything else to say before we wrap up today, Mary?
No, just thank you for having me. Thank you for the program, because like I said, you were my last. This program it's my last hope. And honestly, I'm glad I took that chance, because I don't think we would be here. Kevin would not be getting A's and B's. He wouldn't be thriving at the community center in the summertime with the kids if I would have stopped, like say at year 1, year 2.
Or
We just
not given
wouldn't.
the program a chance.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. Well, I thank you for your trust as well, because I know how that can be too. So, yeah, thank you again. And absolutely congratulations. And to all parents out there, it's never too late. No matter what the age of your child is, never give up, keep going, and know that there is support and there are solutions out there for you on this journey. Again, my resources are at naturallyrecoveringautism.com, and I'm here to help. So again, thank you, Mary, for sharing. Thank you, all parents, everyone listening, for you being here today and for being willing to learn more to help your child live their most successful life to their full potential. Take care, and we'll see you next time.